Just a word of advice. When you make a trailer like this.
What was the turning point that you made when you knew that something different had to happen to resurrect or reshape the Christian/gospel industry?
I mean, I'm going to be straight up. I knew it the first day. It was stale. The gospel norms wasn't working no more, man. Y'all sing too hard. Y'all over-sing. Good God. Stop doing that. Don't nobody want to hear no runs. People keep saying, we want choir music back. Choir music would have never died if people wanted to listen to it. I see it.
Say it.
Joel Steen, Kirk Franklin, T.D. Jakes. How can I find somebody to me that's not Norman? Oh, my God, I'm so sick of him. La, 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 la. Why? What'd I do to you? I think people see me as competition when I'm not.
So let's go here. Travis to Mav.
At that time, it was some little chumps to me.
Right.
You know, I find Chan from my church. I'm the one who got the big artists. We running worship. What I'm calling them for? You got my old background singer leading your thing.
You don't care.
They don't get it. You know who get it? White people get it. First off, everybody know I'm a Trump voter, regardless how y'all feel about that. So, got a really good PPP, too. Trump, thank you for that one, bro.
You knew exactly what you were doing with this clip. This clip was atrocious. During Black Women's, Kirk Franklin did not own his music Black Women's Month.
VBS, I just turned the water on. Big old flex, shit you never saw before. These niggas chasing me like waterfalls. Keeping on my lip, truck look like bricks.
Now, before we continue with this video, I want to talk to you about the big, beautiful bill that is about to cause a whole lot of chaos in our economy, as if Trump hasn't caused enough already. Trump and congressional Republicans have just pushed through the biggest cuts to Medicaid and SNAP in the United States history. And they were able to do that by ramming this bill through Congress because they knew how unpopular the bill was. They lied about keeping all these programs that are pro the everyday American, only to turn around and vote to gut them. Now, who does this benefit? Who do these budget cuts benefit? Billionaires, of course. The ultra wealthy, of course. So basically, Trump and his Republican friends are making sure that the ultra wealthy stay wealthy by cutting Medicaid, by cutting food stamps, by also gutting programs like the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Did you guys recently hear about how Trump's administration wants to put a time limit on Section 8? Yes. A 2-year time limit. Do you know what that will mean for over 5 million families who make around $20,000 per year because we ain't got no jobs? Yeah. It's only going to add to the homelessness crisis that we already have in this country. Seniors, children, you that's watching this video right now, working families could lose access to healthcare, food, housing, all because of this administration. Medicaid, SNAP, other essential services that we use each and every day, gone. That is the reality that we're facing today. The choice is clear, y'all. We have got to do what we can to unrig this economy. While Republicans are siding with billionaires, we need to be siding with each other, the everyday American. We have got to keep the pressure on this administration. Click the link in my description box right now to find out how you can help unrig our economy. Now, let's get back to this video. What's up, guys? It's your sister, Jessie Woo. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you know what to do. Make sure that you subscribe, so you can join the Black Women's Tribe during Black Women's Is Gospel Music Dead Black Women's Month. This is the discussion that we're having today. But before we get into it, y'all, I have opened back up my Ghana Death to December trip. So if you want to join, here is how you can join me in Ghana this December.
Woocation, the Ghana edition is here. I'm so excited, y'all. We are going to Death to December in Ghana. Y'all know I have been talking your ears off about going to Ghana, and I am so excited to finally bring it to you. And we're going to do all the fun things that you saw me do when I went to Ghana 2 years ago, back to back, y'all. Please go to woocationinghana.sortedchalet.com to book your spot. You do not want to miss this because, baby, once it sells out, it sells out. I cannot help you. I cannot. All right. So I will see y'all in Ghana. Again, go to woocationinghana.sortedchalet.com, and I cannot wait to see you for Death to December.
All right, y'all, let's get into it. I'm pretty sure that some of you guys, or maybe most of you guys, judging by the thumbnail, you click so fast because you've seen all the discourse happening around Maverick City. Maverick City is under some boiling hot water right now because their manager, or their co-founder or their business partner. We're going to get into that. But Norman Jumphy, who bought into Magic City, child. See, and this is why I go to Magic City instead of Maverick City. I never have to have these discussions about Magic City. I know what I'm getting into. But Norman Jumphy recently did an interview on the Isaac Curry show. And the interview is a very hard watch for multiple reasons. But I think that it brings up a very, very good discussion when it comes to the state of gospel music versus CCM, which is Christian contemporary music, basically. Starting off, let's just talk about Maverick City, just briefly. I'm pretty sure during the pandemic, you all saw Maverick City just all over the place. They just came out of nowhere with these videos of Black folks singing very Hillsongy music, right?
You would cross an ocean, so I wouldn't try.
Those of you guys who love Hillsong music, raise your hands. I mean, I am a Haitian girl who grew up in Haitian church, and Haitian church to me, I'm about to go off on a little tangent, but for me, the music in Haitian church tends to be very much struggle gospel, like struggle ministry music. Like my mom always says that the first song she heard me sing, I was like barely the age of 3, and she heard me singing the song word for word. Non même qui gagne la vie, pour qui ça, moi même m'a souffri, kounye a, moi pas pour mourir, pas qui t'aime. Like, it's such a depressive song. It's like, Jesus, you have all this life. God, you have all this life in you, but I'm dying. I ain't got no food. I'm drowning out. Bills ain't paid. I'm dying. Are you gonna let me die? Like, that's usually the music that comes out of Haitian church. Don't get it twisted. Like, we do get crunk. We voulez wash la, c'est n'emba ouais côté pour moi passer. Don't get it twisted. We get crunk for Jesus in the Haitian church, but most of the time the music is kind of like filled with a woe is me, please deliver me from my sorrows, deliver me from my misery, God, please, type of vibe when it comes to the worship. And some of you guys know, like, I grew up with a mom who was an evangelist and my father was a preacher. I did not grow up as a preacher's kid. I moved to Miami from Canada when I was 6 or 7. So I don't have any real recollection of my father on the pulpit. I do have videos. There are, videos out there of him doing it, but it was either before I was born or, it just was too early in my life for me to remember. So I didn't grow up with that experience of, going to l'église and my dad is, oh, hod la chair and, welcome to it's pasteur. Woo. I didn't grow up like that, right? But I do come from a long line of ministers. Like my grandmother, she had a huge Kojic ministry in Montreal, Canada, Haitian Kojic ministry. You had to wear all white. You had to cover your head. As a woman, you couldn't wear pants, so I do have that in my background. And I remember just as a kid going to church with my mom, it just was not a pleasant experience for me. It was, Monday night prayer meeting, Tuesday night prayer meeting, Wednesday night, choir rehearsal, Thursday night, Bible study, Friday night, revival, Saturday morning, we praying, journée, réveil. Like, it just was so much. I was like, oh my God, like, do I really want to go to heaven? Is heaven really that serious? Is hell really that hot? Do they have fans in hell? Where them fans at? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, damn, it just was not a pleasant experience for me. And I remember when I got to high school, I had, a lot of friends from other cultures, white friends. And I remember going to like this church called A Place Called Hope in Miami, where it was like my first non-denominational experience. And then I had a friend in high school who was Jamaican. And I went to her church, her family's church. And I was just exposing myself to all these different types of experiences. And by the time I was in college, I actually started working at a church. I worked at a church called Potential Church. First, it was called Flamingo Road Church, and then they changed the name to Potential Church. And I was on staff there. I co-led their children's ministry. I led worship. Like, I was very much involved in church. And one thing I have grown to understand is that, unfortunately, church is not always God-driven. It is very much money-driven. I remember when I was working at Potential Church, I was making $27,000 a year. And I was working 6 days a week. And I'm talking about like long days, 10 hours, 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours. And the pastor at the time, I don't know if he's still there, Pastor Troy, but at the time, like, I couldn't even get a meeting with my own pastor. Like, you had to be a temple centurion, like, to have access to the pastor. And I don't know if they still do that, but temple centurions were people who gave a lot of money annually to the church. And they would be able to speak to the pastor. And I remember at the time too, like, the pastor had this amazingly expensive office at the church that he was hardly at. He had a place at Trump Towers. He was able to claim his house as another church campus. And he was mostly at his house while us workers would be there during the week, all day. Like, it was just ridiculous. They ran us into the ground. And would ask us to give a certain amount of the money that we were getting, $27,000 in South Florida, and then expecting me to not only give 10%, but to tithe, to give offering, and to become a temple centurion. Hell to the nah. Hell no to the nah. Who the fuck doing that? Not me. I was very defiant in those aspects of being, part of the staff. And child, that's why they had to let my ass go. Because, baby, slavery is over. I'm so sorry. What? Slavery is over. The gist of what I'm saying is, what I grew to realize was that church is very much, especially when you get to these non-denominational churches, these big churches, it's not God-driven. It is money-driven. Everything is money. You hear about the offering goal. There were times where they were, hey, are y'all getting the kids to give offering? Now we're putting skits together to encourage the kids to give offering. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything is money driven. It's not as God driven as it should be. And that just leads me to this conversation about CCM versus gospel music. In this conversation that Norman has with Isaac Curry, it's just very, very clear that from his stance, what he's doing with Maverick City, it's not necessarily God-driven, but more so money and data and profits driven. Like, how do we get this group to make money? How do I get my artists to make money so that I too can make money? So just a quick background on Maverick City. Maverick City is a contemporary Christian worship group that started in Atlanta. Its co-founders are Jonathan J. and Tony Brown. They debuted in 2019, literally right before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, I just remember seeing these videos of this crew all over the place.
I'll never be more loved than I am right now.
The way that the videos were so inviting, because you basically saw like Black folks and white folks, right? Kind of in these living room settings or these intimate settings.
You would cross an ocean, so I wouldn't drown.
Worshiping Christ. And one of my favorite Maverick City songs is, I'll never be more loved than I am right now. Wasn't holding you up, so there's nothing I can do to let you down. It doesn't take a trophy to make you proud. I'll never be more loved than I am right now. Then you got Naomi Rain coming in, going through a storm, but I won't fall down.
I hear your voice carried in the rhythm of the wind to call me out.
Like, she's amazing. Amazing vocalist, right? They also have another song, Promises, which I love.
He's my hope and firm ground, never let me down.
So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar, at least have seen them once or twice. They're Grammy Award winners, BMI Award winners. Like, they've been very successful in the few years that they've been active. So jump to Norman Jumpfeed. Norman is a executive in the Christian music world, right? And it's funny, I actually met Norman with Tamar Braxton 2 years ago. I believe he still manages her. He was managing her at the time. I believe he still manages her. And I remember meeting him with her. We had a really pleasant conversation, but I remember walking away from that conversation and thinking, this man is not for everybody. He's not for everybody. Y'all will see for yourselves why he's not for everybody, right? One thing I can appreciate about people like Norman, they are who they are, and there's no pretend, okay? He's not a sheep in wolf's clothing. When you hear him speak, this is how he speaks. This is who he is at all times. There's no sugarcoating, right? It can be off-putting. It can be condescending. It can be arrogant. But he tells the truth, at least his truth. He's going to tell you where his stance is at all times, and there's really just no sugarcoating. And I can appreciate that when it comes to people like Norman. Again, Norman Jumpfeed is a music exec, and he had a lot of controversial takes about gospel music versus CCM, which is Christian contemporary music, but I'll just be saying CCM for the rest of the video. He had a lot of controversial takes, and it has the internet in an uproar, and rightfully so. Before we get into that, I want to ask y'all a question. Before we get into his views, I want to ask you guys a question. Should gospel artists make money? I want to ask y'all that question. Like, do you all think that gospel artists should make money? Like, should gospel artists have mansions? Should gospel artists drive fancy cars? Should gospel artists live lavish lives? You know, they're spreading their talent. You know, yes, the music is God-focused. God should be at the center. But should gospel artists make money? Should gospel artists have brand deals? Should gospel artists be able to travel wherever they want to and live like other celebrities do? I want to ask y'all this question because I feel like Norman says the silent part out loud in this interview. And it just had me thinking about the fact that, like, my biggest takeaway from this interview is that gospel artists is God-driven, while CCM is more data and money driven and more consumption driven. And I wonder what your thoughts are on that. Like, is that how it should be? Mr. Easter is part of this series right now called Den of Kings, and it is Kirk Franklin's series that he has on his YouTube channel. It's really, really good. Please check it out. Because my man, okay, he's working, child. But please check it out. It's actually really, really good. So there's an episode with Kirk Franklin, Tyler Perry, Young Jeezy, and I can't remember the fourth guy, but he's like an entrepreneur. And at the top of the episode, Kirk Franklin shared something that was shocking to me.
That one of the biggest mistakes I made at 23 years old. I messed up, didn't own my publishing, did all this music, and didn't have the money that I could have had. I missed the opportunity to really be a boss, right?
At 23, what album was that?
The first record.
The first record.
The first record.
Why We Sing.
Why We Sing.
You didn't, or you still don't own?
I just started to own my publishing. Guess what song was my first song owning?
What's that?
Take Me to the King.
Now, Kirk Franklin isn't the first artist that we've heard who doesn't own their stuff, who doesn't own their music, who doesn't own their publishing, right? Who was not getting the correct pay for their writers' credits, right? It's a story as old as it's a tale as old as time. But can you imagine being Kirk Franklin though? Kirk the Franklin, not owning your stuff for over 2 decades? What? And your first song that you own is take me to the king. Hello? Hello, is the microphone on? Ewo. During Black Women's, Kirk Franklin did not own his music Black Women's Month? What's going on?
Kirk,
So-
are you kidding me?
So from my 20s to my 40s, I owned none of my publishing because I did not always have the money that I should have had.
I was gonna say that.
I didn't have the money I should have had. A lot of times you got to act as if.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You got to keep the kids laced.
Right.
Got to keep wifey laced. You got to act as if because everybody's expecting you to have something because you got these plaques, these awards.
Like, can you imagine that? And then, like he said, like, basically spending over 2 decades kind of faking the funk, right? You got to keep everybody looking good, looking as if you've got it all together for over 2 decades. And so basically probably in the last 10 years, little below 10 years is when he's finally started to make the money that's due to him. It kind of makes you think, going back, why Kirk Franklin made certain decisions, like making music with Salt and Pepper. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stop putting rap people, like hip hop artists on his music, doing a song with R. Kelly. I'm your angel. Is that? I'll be your cloud up in the sky. I'll be your shoulder when you cry. Actually, that's R. Kelly and Celine Dion. But Kirk Franklin did have a song that had R. Kelly, Mary J. Blige, U2, like a whole bunch of different artists on it. Now I can understand why he was doing this, because he wasn't making any money. And while doing this too, he was getting a lot of flack from the Christian community because here he was working with all these secular artists, but he wasn't making any money. Imagine the entire world knows your name. The entire world is singing your songs. Mind you, you don't sing not one lick of them, but still. The entire world is singing your songs and you're not getting anything for that. But a show gig here, a show gig there, tour date here, tour date. You're not making any real money from that. That is diabolical, especially if you are a world renowned, like he is the gospel artist of all gospel artists. Let's just be honest. Right? Over 2 decades, not making no money. That's crazy. I'm sorry. That's insane to me. Now, before we get into the Isaac Curry interview once more, this is Kirk and Norman in another interview. So I believe this interview is with Earn Your Leisure, which is a really, really good podcast. I really like those guys.
Unique part of where we sit in the marketplace is Kirk mentioned Maverick City. So I am one of the owners of Maverick City with one of my business partners, Jonathan J. And the unique thing about Maverick City was that we prioritize diversity. And so we were able to build one of the first groups that had African Americans in it that was able to be played on what we consider CCM radio.
You hear Norman and Kirk talk about how they're changing the face and the scales of gospel with how they market Christian music, basically. Not gospel, but Christian music, how they're marketing it, right? And I want you to take a listen to this.
There's a large group of people that still didn't mind to have someone like Kirk be the spokesman for what they wanted. There wasn't anyone willing to come in and say, hey, I'm going to put my money behind this space and look at ways to correlate them with certain brands.
Now, when you hear them speak like this, right, it's kind of clear that what they're alluding to is that gospel music is Black, CCM is white, right? And so they're trying to humanize these Black CCM artists so that the white folks, other cultures, other non-Black cultures can buy into these CCM artists.
Christian music is white, gospel music is Black.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So if you hear Christian music, you're going to have a white person.
Yeah. And there's no ambiguity to what he said.
There's none.
None.
Okay.
But can I also, if you mind, if I can also celebrate what he was saying is that this piece of marketing that Norman and his partners brought to the table is what it did for those spaces that were already biased, is that it humanized the voices in the space.
Exactly.
That's what it did.
Exactly.
Is that it allowed people to see themselves in us, is because being able to have the idea of, we're going to bring cameras into every space. We're going to do intentional marketing to humanize the voices in this space so that they do not sound so iconoclastic, right?
Okay.
That they sound more humanized. And so that has been a great benefit for not only other artists, but also for myself. And I was always a very public person, but in the partnership, I have seen the benefits of being intrusive.
Now, some of you may think, you know what, this is just a way to whitewash gospel. But then there's some of you who will see it as, well, there's gospel and then there's CCM. These Black CCM artists are trying to break into a realm that is, quite frankly, not Black friendly. I do think, though, that keywords like intrusive and, diversify and all that, it kind of gives like DEI, but backwards. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of screams like DEI. We're trying to DEI this movement. Like, we're trying to get more Black folks in this realm and make it more acceptable to have Black folks in this realm. Make no mistake about it, though. CCM has been around for a long time. Hello, if you're a Hillsonger,
He took me out upon the water. Spirit, lead me where my faith is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you may take me.
come on now. Don't make me put my "Your love is relentless." Don't make me get my Hillsong bag, okay? I know y'all be thinking I'm not saved like that. I'm saved, okay? I'm motherfucking saved. How you doing? But basically, again, getting into the Isaac Curry interview, I strongly feel that my biggest takeaway from this interview is that gospel music is spirit-led, God-led, and CCM is data and money-led, as I hear Norman speak. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you want to look at it, especially when it comes from the artist's perspective, right? Because I just want you to keep in mind, even though Norman is the man behind the operations of Maverick City, it doesn't necessarily mean that his views are their views. And we're going to get into that because Naomi Rain did actually release a statement. But it doesn't necessarily mean that their views are his views. However, that does bring me to another question is, should everyone on your team's views match your views? Should Maverick City's views be the views of everyone around them? Drop that in the comments and let me know your thoughts on that. So the Isaac Curry Show, it's hosted by Isaac Curry, who's a worship leader. And I believe he leads worship at Change. I know Todd Galbraith, who leads worship at Change. And I believe I met Isaac when I visited there like 2-3 years ago. So I don't know him personally. I do think that he's a worship leader, though. And he's signed to Tribal Records, which is Norman's label. He does say that in the interview, which would explain all the shucking and jiving that Isaac was doing. Isaac, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. On your show, you said that you tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yo, well, we promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God.
This is me telling you the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. You suck. Put the microphone down. Put the microphones down. Put the microphone down and go back to work. Go back to work. This is not your ministry, boo. This is not your ministry, baby. I'm here to tell you that God told me to tell you podcasting is not your ministry, okay? You're doing way too much shucking and jiving and bootlicking. It just was appalling to watch. Listen, at the very least, you don't have to be a journalist to be a podcaster. But when you have a guest, please be mindful of the things coming out of your guest's mouth and how that would affect your audience. And so if your guest is saying something that is very off-putting, at the very least, you should be skilled enough to have some pushback. And you had none of that. it just was a whole bunch of boot licking and booty licking. If we're just gonna be quite frank, it just was a whole bunch of booty licking. To be quite frank, like it was off-putting. Like Norman is Norman, okay, but baby, you just, my God, you lit liquor. Okay, let's get into the interview. Also, Isaac, just a word of advice. When you make a trailer like this
week on the Isaac Curry Show, what was the turning point that you made when you knew that something different had to happen to resurrect or reshape the Christian/gospel industry?
I mean, I'm going to be straight up. I knew it the first day. It was stale. The gospel norms wasn't working no more, man. Y'all sing too hard. Y'all over-sing. Good God. Stop doing that. Don't nobody want to hear no runs. People keep saying, we want choir music back. Choir music would have never died if people wanted to listen to it. I see it.
Say it.
Joel, Sting, Kirk Franklin, T.D. Jakes. How can I find somebody to tour me that's not Norman? Oh, my God, I'm so sick of him. La, 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 la. Why? What'd I do to you? I think people see me as competition when I'm not.
So let's go here. Travis to Mav.
At that time, it was some little chumps to me.
Right.
You know, I find Chan from my church. I'm the one who got the big artists. We running worship. What I'm calling them for? You got my old background singer leading your thing.
You don't care.
They don't get it. You know who get it? White people get it. First off, everybody know I'm a Trump voter, regardless how y'all feel about that. So, got a really good PPP, too. Trump, thank you for that one, bro.
You knew exactly what you were doing with this clip. This clip was atrocious. It actually was atrocious. When you actually sit down and listen to the podcast, it's not as bad, but the way you positioned this promo clip was so bad. Like, it was extremely distasteful. Like, it was not tasteful at all. It was clear you wanted to piss people off, and you were actually in your own comment section gloating about it, right? Since then, Isaac has released a statement, kind of, backpedaling and pussy popping. It's like, baby.
The views of my guests are not necessarily the views of myself or my crew and my team. I do want people to be comfortable to say what it is that's on their heart, and we just let them talk.
Just own what you did. Own what you did. The views of my guests are not necessarily my views. Well, you should have said that when he was sitting across from you. But you was too busy booty licking to say that. Okay? So yeah, that's why podcasting is not for everyone. So Norman Jumphy, to be quite clear, he's not part of the founding of Maverick City. He bought into it. He does state this later on in the interview that he did, in fact, buy into Maverick City. In the beginning of the interview, we're kind of learning about how he came into this world. And basically, he is the brother-in-law of Travis Green. You guys know that song, You Made a Way. Norman goes on to say that he joined Travis's team at first. He was just handling his socials, handling his visuals. Travis had the song Make a Way at the time, and he had no visual for that. And he asked Travis why he didn't have a music video for that song. And he said, well, the label didn't have it. And he was like, no, we need to make you a visual. So he was behind that. He was also behind making sure that Travis's socials was lit, making sure that he had really, really good content for online, the whole nine. And Norman goes on to talk about how he was behind Travis Green's decision to sing at Trump's first inauguration.
Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things y'all did was Travis did Donald Trump's inauguration, the first term. Mm-hmm. And Travis caught some flack, but he came out unscathed. He came out no scars from it. His career took off, and you were behind the scenes and you navigated that thing. How did you know, like, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to handle the backlash?
So I bet a lot of people don't know, but back then I did everything for Travis. So I managed his socials. I was his assistant. I did everything. So it was twofold. One, can't take glory away from God.
Right.
God, he prayed about it. God told him to do it. So when God give you a word, whatever outcome from that happens, it's good.
Right.
So if he lost everything, he was intended to lose everything, right? But clearly that's not what happened. So
remember, this is the same inauguration that, quite frankly, canceled Chrisette Michele. Like, we just haven't heard from her since then. She was blackballed from everything, right? But Norman says that God told him and Travis to do this. He also shares that he is a Trump supporter. And that it was Travis's duty, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it was Travis's duty to do this, to sing at Trump's inauguration, because the Bible tells us to honor our leaders, to honor. And it's just.
First off, everybody know I'm a Trump voter, regardless how y'all feel about that. So I was supportive of it anyway.
Okay.
And beyond that, he's the president.
Right.
So you honor the president. That's in the Bible. You honor the kings and queens of whoever they are. So I thought that for him,
given Trump's track record, the man who didn't even know how to hold the Bible right side up, the man who has gone against every moral that has been outlined for us in the Bible, the man is literally an essayer, a harasser. The man is literally sending us downhill. Like, I'm sorry. The fact that you're still supporting Trump, Norman, that is disgusting to me. That is insane to me, given all the things, all the anti-Black things that his presidency has done and are doing at the very moment. It's just disgusting. And again, the fact that you were saying that, and Isaac, you had no pushback on that. Put the microphone down and go get a job. Al chercher travail pour faire. The microphone is not for you. The microphone is not for you. It's not for you, baby. Put that microphone down immediately. The most insane part of Norman's detailing of Travis singing for Trump is the fact that God told him not to negotiate what Travis was going to get paid.
God told me one thing. When I got the call from the White House, I was actually on the toilet at my house. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I was on the toilet. He said, do not negotiate the rate. He said, whatever they offer you, just say yes. And I'm a shrewd. So we said,
absolutely.
It's like asking me not to think. Like, he told me not to negotiate. So when you see all these stories about this person got $1 million, this person got 100, this person getting 900,000, all this, I'm sitting here like, we just got 20 grand. That was what Travis was going out for then. We did it for his normal rate, his normal fee, normal travel. That's it.
Shucking and jiving for $20,000 from the Trump administration. And mind you, you didn't negotiate because, God told you not to. Are you okay? I'm sorry. God didn't tell you to do that. God did not tell you to do that. I'm so sorry. But he goes on to say that it was a really, really good decision that Travis, by Travis singing for Trump, that it enlarged his audience. He also did say, though, that at the time he was managing Travis's socials and he would stay up for hours deleting negative comments from all of Travis's socials. So in Travis's mind, he was in this bubble where he believed that everyone was supporting his decision, when in fact, they were not.
And I stayed up all night, probably 6 o'clock in the morning. I would delete every single negative comment that came through. This was before they had keywords. Now you can hide words.
Right.
This is before that.
Insane to me. Insane to me. He even detailed how Travis's own pastor at the time called Travis before Travis was going on stage to shuck and jive for Trump. He wanted Travis to rethink his decision and not to do it. And he refused to pass Travis the phone.
His pastor called him, and I was on the phone. We talk about this sometimes. His pastor was like, he was getting ready to go on stage. I said, if you're not going to tell him something from God, if it's something personal, then I'm not giving him the phone. He said, you're not going to give Travis the phone when I call? I said, I'm not giving him the phone. So if you're going to disagree with God, I told him, I'm not going to give him the phone. I never let him get the phone. And we ended up going to do the inauguration.
Oh, my God. You told Travis's pastor that?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know. I'm just questioning that. I have questions. I'm just questioning that. That don't sound right to me, personally. But who am I? I'm not God. Another alarming thing that Norman said in this interview to me was that he wanted to model him being an executive after the likes of Scooter Braun.
I modeled myself after Scooter Braun. That's what I saw. When I come in anything, I'm not comparing myself to what's elite in that space. I'm comparing myself to what's elite.
Period.
What period?
Yeah.
Just period. So the best run management company I thought at the time was Urban Asoff and Scooter Braun.
Scooter Braun, who stole Taylor Swift's masters, Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, Demi Lovato, all the folks who left Scooter Braun for his shady practices, that Scooter Braun, yeah, I don't know how godly that is. Like, I could see if you're doing secular music, right? But to have Scooter Braun practices with a Christian group is insane to me. And to have that intention, I'm sorry, Norman. Like, that is insane to me. That is insane to me. There is nothing godly about Scooter Braun. Now, I do get having the wherewithal to make Maverick City this huge group, right? But at what cost? At what cost if this is supposed to be a God-led thing? But again, like I said, as I'm listening to him speak, it's more so given this is money driven. This is business driven. This is, acquisitions driven. Like, it's not God driven for real. Now, a lot of folks have said that Norman Jumphy is a co-founder of Magic. Not Magic City, child. That Norman Jumphy is a co-founder of Maverick City. In this interview, he makes it clear that he is not, and that he bought into the group. Now, I do acknowledge why a lot of people would think he's a co-founder, and that's because in multiple other interviews or publications, he is credited as being a co-founder, but he's not. He's behind the group. He bought into the group. He invested into the group. He, leads their business dealings, but he's not the co-founder of the group. He did talk about how before the pandemic, there was a clubhouse where a lot of people were just bashing Maverick City, and he stumbled into the clubhouse and he didn't like the way that people were talking about them. And he knew Chandler, I believe, from church. And he believed in them and he wanted to buy into it. At the time, they didn't have the visuals that they had during the pandemic. So it was his idea to have these homey visuals, and to have these visuals that invited folks and made you feel like you were in the living room with Maverick City. And I think that was brilliant. He said that one of his main reasons for buying into Maverick City was because they cracked the code, basically being Black kids with white writers.
What I saw in Maverick was the perfect storm. You had Black kids with, respectfully, white writers,
right,
and producers. So they were training them not to oversing, to sing it, to be singable, and also they were making content during the pandemic where everybody wanted God.
He hadn't really seen that happen before. And also, he was so used to Black people singing gospel music that was very much woe is me in his, I'm paraphrasing, but basically in his mind, gospel music tends to have that, please save me from my misery, come save me, God, I need you, versus the music that Maverick City is making, which is mostly inspirational and being in awe of God, being in awe of God's promises, being in awe of God's wonders.
You know what I mean? And they were great songs. It wasn't like, we gonna get over it, we gonna get over it. They were making music that resonated with people because the reality is we didn't grow up like our parents.
Right.
I grew up with a two-parents household, both of my parents doctors. I don't know nothing about no struggle, no disrespect to anybody that does. I ain't grew up on no food stamps in the hood.
Yeah.
So my kids can't relate to, like, the way Never Would Have Made It hit my grandma don't hit me the same way.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? It's different. We relate to a different story. We relate to our struggles today, and I'm not speaking for everybody, I'm just speaking to the general young Black kid. Our struggles today are more internal than they are external forces. Yes, there's still racism and all that stuff exists, but, we getting up, going to work, the bills is paid, right. We got the cars, so like a song like, if he dresses the lilies, it's like, dang, God will keep me fly. It's like...
When he was talking about this, I thought he made a really good point. And it kind of made me think about kind of like my upbringing, like growing up in the Haitian church, you know, it is very much woe is me music. And listening to Norman talk about how gospel music really just doesn't hit him the way it hit the generations before him because he didn't have that type of struggle. I do think that he has a point there. And when you look at CCM music and who it hits, he has a point. He has a point there. Drop in the comments and let me know your thoughts on that. One of the things that Norman doesn't like about the gospel part of the music versus CCM was he was talking about how it lacks a lot of infrastructure. Like, you know, these gospel artists did not really have a structured team behind them. They didn't really have a structured vision. It was just basically going from church to church, gigging, leading worship this Sunday, you know, and leading worship that Sunday. And basically with the panoramic, even before the panoramic, but especially with the panoramic, that kind of died down with streaming, right? Like churches were not inviting, you know, gospel artists to come lead worship as often as they used to.
Churches only need you if their worship team sucks. And as time goes on, talent was increasing. Access to talent was increasing. So now a pastor can go on Instagram and see somebody that can sing, and why I can pay him $90,000 a year. Why I'm gonna keep paying people $25,000 every weekend? Right. When I can pay one dude to get up here, I can pay Todd once. He'll get up here and kill it every week.
You know, a lot of you guys know I go to New Birth Baptist Church. Shout out to my pastor, Jamal Bryant. We don't get a lot of guest worship leaders. Our worship team is phenomenal. So we don't get a lot of that. And he was talking about the fact that these churches are not going to be paying a gospel artist $20,000 to come lead worship during the weekend anymore when they could just hire a worship leader for $100,000 for the year. And so that does take money out of the gospel artist's pocket because now they're not going to have as many gigs. And so that's what he's thinking about when he's talking about the infrastructure for Maverick City and other CCM artists. He wanted to build a group that could tour, that could fill up arenas.
Right. And so what you got with Maverick was you got this, the type of music that was expanding and the best talent. And you put those two together, and I was like, shoot, you know, the solo artist thing cool, but these jokers can fill arenas. I saw it then. I knew God had gave me this vision of worship music filling arenas.
Maverick City can fill up arenas. And that's what he was looking for because he didn't want them to have to depend on church gigging. He ate with that. Again, it leads me to my first question. Should Christian artists, gospel artists, CCM artists, should they be making money? And it's very clear that Norman, as he's speaking, he wants his artists to make money because he wants to make money. It's very, very clear as you hear him speak. Now, I did feel that some of the things that Norman was saying, it just was, we're just going to call it what it is. It was anti-Black, okay? CCM, we're just going to be honest, there is a lot of whitewashing, okay? Maverick City is whitewashed gospel. Let's just be honest, right? Now, in his view, he don't give a damn about that because it's filling up arenas. He feels Maverick City cracked the code. They have basically these songs where they're not over singing. They're not doing a whole lot of runs. In Norman's opinion, gospel artists do too much singing. They're over singing. They're doing too many runs. And it just makes their music not sing-alongable.
The gospel norms wasn't working no more, man. Y'all sing too hard. Y'all over-sing.
Good God.
Stop doing that. Nobody want to hear no runs. They look at runs. They don't want to sing runs. That's why R&B and pop, that's why pop is more popular than R&B. People like singable music.
He said that nobody wants to hear choirs. Nobody wants to hear quartets anymore because you can't sing along to that. And I just felt like that was just very anti-Black. Like, so Mahalia Jackson was over-singing? The Clark sisters were over-singing? Mind you, the Clark sisters inspired Destiny's Child, In Vogue. All of your favorite R&B singers, especially like from the 90s and the early 2000s, late 80s, they were singing like the Clark sisters. Like the Clark sisters, their harmonies, the way they structured their music, they were the inspiration behind a lot of R&B artists and pop artists, if you want to be real here. Singers like R. Kelly, Aaron Hall, Genuine, Drew Hill, Boyz II Men. Where do you think they got their runs from? It was from gospel artists. When you visit R. Kelly's catalog, it is so gospel infused. Even if you go back to Ray Charles, that was gospel. It was literally gospel. Tell me what I say, baby, what I say. Baby, it's all right, baby, it's all right. That is gospel. The sing back and gospel, let's just keep it a buck. Gospel music literally inspired rock and roll, pop, R&B, country. Every popular genre, gospel music, gospel singers had a hand in inspiring those genres. So I didn't like when he was talking about just the over singing. That just did not sit well with me at all. I thought that was very anti-Black. But then he had a point when he said that Chris Tomlin is the biggest worship leader of all time.
Wow. They want to, like, you would rather, that's why Chris Tomlin was the greatest worship leader ever. Why? You know, want to know why?
Why?
He's not the best vocalist ever.
I goes up for Chris Tomlin. I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. Like, don't make me cuss. Nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hand. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. You are faithful. I goes up for Chris Tomlin. That's just, I'm sorry. What? Norman had a hit with that one. I'm sorry. I can't argue that one. He did say something that I want to revisit too. He said that the over singing, it makes the music not sing-alongable, and that people like something that they can sing along to, which is what Maverick City infuses into their music, right? When you listen to their music, the way they mix it is you hear a lead vocal, right? But you hear folks in an audience. Like, it's not a structured choir. It's not giving GP, are you with? It's not giving God's property. It's giving the random voices at church that you hear when the worship leader is leading a song. And I think that that's what people are so comfortable with, is that when you hear the Maverick City sound, it automatically makes you feel comfortable to sing along. Do I feel that there was some anti-Blackness in this? Absolutely. But is he wrong? Is he wrong? Is he wrong? Let me take it a step further. Okay? Look at music right now. A lot of these folks who are singing and rapping, the talent is not there, right? Look at Sexy Red. I think one of the biggest ingredients within Sexy Red's career that makes her so successful is that anybody can rap along. She's not a lyricist. She's not going to give you Lauryn Hill vibes. She's not going to give you Doechii. You can't rap along to every Doechii song. But you put that Sexy Red on, everybody can rap along to that. Toddlers with no teeth can rap along, right? Everybody likes something that they can sing along to, rap along to, that makes them feel like, oh, I can do this. He's not lying about that. He's not lying. How many successful singers do we have out there who cannot sing worth a damn? Ice Spice can't rap. The success that she's had. Now, right now, it's looking a little murky for her, but still, the fact that she was able to have the run that she had, and she can't rap. She's not a lyricist. Come on. My only thing that I feel like Norman gives in this interview is that, you know, what he's done with Maverick City, or what they're doing is like this new thing. And it's just not. Elevation Worship does it. Hillsong been doing it. White folks have been owning the CCM space, okay? It's new to see Black folks existing in that space and existing so well, but this is not a new formula. It's not a new formula. It's not a new sound, okay? Like he said, y'all are just not over singing. You're not like Chandler Moore has a very good voice. Naomi Rain has an astounding voice, right? But let's just keep it a buck. There is a lot of whitewashing in what they're doing. And now we know that they're doing it on purpose. Isaac Curry played a game of this or that with Norman, you know, and there was one question where he asked if gospel or CCM should go.
I already know this answer. CCM or gospel?
What you mean? One of them got to go?
One of them got to go.
Gospel.
Picking gospel to go instead of saying, okay, what can we do for gospel artists to help them get to the next, you know, to the next level? I think it's a nasty thing. Like, I didn't like that. Gospel artists deserve more. Gospel music deserves more. Yes, Maverick City, you know, he did say how Maverick City outstreams every gospel artist right now combined, right? But that doesn't mean that Maverick City is making music that's more touching than gospel artists. It just means, in my opinion, that the investment in gospel artists is not there for several reasons. Number one, it's a Black genre. It's a Black genre. And we see what racism has done to many, many facets of life, right? So the music world, it's not going to escape racism. But it's just disheartening to watch like Black folks say stuff like this. Gospel music can go. No, it cannot. It cannot. Why not come up with a way to increase visibility when it comes to gospel music? I'm going to tell you right now, if white folks pick up the microphone now and start singing gospel music, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? They'll get all the things that Black gospel artists are not getting. It's not a dead genre. It's a genre that is not being fed. It's a genre that's not being invested into. That's just my personal belief. I don't think that gospel music should leave. I think that gospel execs need to be execs. Come up with ways to put gospel back on the map. Come up with ways to make sure that gospel artists are able to feed their families, are able to live good lives, where they are making good money off of their talent. If millions of people are listening to your voice, you should be wealthy. That's my personal opinion. Yes, gospel music is God-driven. Yes, absolutely. But you should be making good money off of your talent if millions of people are streaming your music. Now, should you be using the money that you're making from that to give back to God's people? Absolutely. That's a whole nother conversation. Absolutely. But just basically saying, oh, gospel gotta go, I think that's so anti-Black. And it's disheartening. And I feel like, Norman, with your platform and with what you have, the abilities that you have, the touring that you're doing, why not find ways to put money into gospel music so that it can be successful and so that gospel artists can be able to take care of themselves and their families? Why are we so stuck on breaking into white spaces instead of illuminating Black spaces? This conversation about gospel versus CCM, that's my biggest takeaway. Well, two takeaways is that gospel is God-led, CCM is money-led. But also, like, so we're just going to feed the CCM sector and we're just going to just forego, just let gospel music just like die. the music of our ancestors, the music that got us through. Yes, all gospel music doesn't have to be a quartet. It doesn't all have to be choir. It doesn't all have to be woe is me. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. But just gospel can go. I think that that's just so like disheartening to say. Let me know you guys' thoughts on that. Naomi Rain did release a statement, and here's what she had to say on her Instagram. Now, her statement is kind of long. I'm just gonna fast forward through some of it. You know, she does credit a lot of artists like Anointed, BB and CeCe Winans, Angelo and Veronica, Israel Holt, and Trinity 5-7 as mainstays, you know, who inspired her, you know, when it comes to worship. She says, as grateful as I am to be a founding member of Maverick City Music, Maverick didn't shape that foundation for me. I've never pretended to be anything but my authentic self in any song that I've sung. In Mav, I've never felt pressure to be anyone but me, thank God. All the song leaders in Maverick came together, bringing our authentic worship and praise and lyrics and perspectives and upbringings and backgrounds to form what Maverick was. That wasn't created by an executive or a branding deck or a business strategy. That was formed organically in songwriting rooms and writing camps by genuine connections and the Spirit of God. Woo! She just whacked you. She whacked you, Norman. Because all you talking about Brandon and all, she whacked you. She said she ain't doing this for Brandon. She's doing it for the Lord. She's doing this for the Lord. From the beginning, Maverick has been unapologetically committed to the advancement and celebration of gospel music and Black people. Our album, released on Juneteenth, Jubilee, was released to highlight and bring awareness to the role that gospel music played in the emancipation of Black people in this nation and music, period. We stood for Black lives, even when some fans unfollowed us, attended and led worship at marches, and used our platform to speak up when it wasn't popular. We spent time in prisons ministering beyond what the cameras could capture, but hoped to set an example to inspire others to bring their music ministry behind bars. That's who we are. That said, I'm very grateful to be a part of the gospel music community, to be embraced by it, and to embrace others through it. As we all keep showing up with what we have and who we are, I also deeply value the evolution of its sound and space that's happening and has happened for such a long time. This is not new. And I pray that as things continue to shift and grow, we never lose the essence of what makes gospel music so powerful. That's the good news of Jesus Christ, coupled with our testimonies and our powerful voices. Finally, in all my time with Maverick City Music, I can honestly say that we've actually always desired to bring richness to gospel in the CCM space, not the other way around. She whacking you. Norman, she whacking you. We wanted to create more room for marginalized voices to be heard and honored in more spaces. I believe in many cases we've done that, but I believe there's still more to do, and I plan to continue to do that. Gospel has always been more than a genre to me. It's a legacy and a language that carries the weight of our stories and the beauty of our praise. We are not a monolith. We are all different, and every expression is necessary, the old and the new, that which has been preserved and that which should never be forgotten. At the end of the day, my heart is to worship the Lord with everything I have, to sing with conviction, write with truth, and lead with integrity. And I will continue to do that with all the strength and breath in my body. Love y'all. She whacked you. This goes to a question I had earlier. Should Maverick City's team, manager, business partner, whatever Norman is to them, should his views match their views? According to Naomi, they don't have the same views. So what does that mean for Maverick City going forward? Drop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this. I think that, you know, I'm able to have nuanced conversations and I'm able to see the nuances in certain views. I do think that Norman did a lot of truth telling from his perspective as an executive. A lot of eye-opening details were revealed. However, it has a very anti-Black notion to it when you just show a total disregard for gospel music in the name of breaking into CCM. Also, it just gives this this air about it that just screams, this is not about worship. This is not about God. This is not about bringing people to Jesus. It's about us making money. And while I do think that Christian artists should make money, I think they should be successful. I think they should have brand deals. I don't think that Jesus should not be at the center. I feel like for Christian artists, Jesus should always be at the center. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, drop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
VBS, I just turned the water on. Big old flex, shit you never saw before. These niggas chasing me like waterfalls.